feel to be here as a presidential candidate now?
Well, it's a lot of work. It's fun, and I'm looking forward to sharing our message and hopefully earning the support of the people of New Hampshire.
Senator, Governor Bush gave you a sword, Chang, I think its name was. Where is that sword? Is it
we have it.
on
That's
a
a great
wall?
question.
Is it in your basement?
No, I have it. I think I have it in, somewhere at home. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I have young kids. I don't want them running around with a sword.
Senator, you went to Chipotle. Security footage just now showed. Did you tip when you were there?
Robert, did we tip? I probably did in cash. Yeah.
You probably did in cash.
Yeah, because when you take a receipt from Chipotle, it doesn't have a. If it's under a certain amount, it doesn't leave a line for you to write in the tips. You got to do it in cash.
But there's a tip jar.
I always tip. Yeah, I'm sure we did. We always tip. My dad was a service sector.
You mentioned LIP and Medicaid. How do you think they should resolve that?
Well, I don't think the government should hold them hostage. And that's what's happening. The federal government's basically telling the state, unless you do something we want on an unrelated matter, you won't get LIP funding. I think it's an example of federal overreach and what federal agencies always do.
You mentioned education standards upstairs and your role in pushing for those as House Speaker. Where are you at on evolution?
On what, I'm sorry?
On evolution and its role.
It's a scientific theory that should be taught. I think kids should learn from their faith what their faith teaches, and schools should teach them all the theories that are out there. Most faith-based schools do that. They teach all the theories that are out there. You want to know my personal belief? I don't think they're in conflict with my faith. I believe that the earth, science can explain to us the biological process by which life in the earth developed. But at the end of the day, I believe God is the one that guided it.
Should teachers have to point that out? I'm sorry, Senator. Should teachers have to point out that?
Well, in a faith-based school, they do. In non-faith-based schools, they can inform students and should be able to about the fact that there are other theories out there that exist as well. If you want to give them truly a rounded education, you should explain to them that there is a theistic creationism that exists, or a theistic evolution theory that exists out there. The Catholic Church has adopted that position where it teaches that science and faith are not incompatible.
Senator, given this setting, since we're here, you came to Congress after the auto bailouts in 08 and 09. You've been president at the time. How would you handle that?
I don't think that was the right way to handle it, but certainly our auto industry is important. Again, it was a problematic approach that the federal government took into doing it. But at the end of the day, our industry has to be globally competitive. And one of the things that makes them globally competitive, and hope will make them globally competitive, is having the workforce that can do the work, and also having tax policy and regulatory policy that ensures that America continues to be a place where all industries are vibrant, including the auto industry.
Senator, in the past, you wrote it.
Thank you. You're casting yourself as a candidate for the next generation in the 21st century, but on a range of issues, from gay marriage to your position on Cuba, your views feel more in line with previous decades.
I just think that's not a legitimate criticism. There are some things that are universally true throughout time. I mean, democracy, freedom, respect for human rights. We believe that in the 20th century. We believe it in the 21st. My fundamental argument is that we're heading into a new era economically. The country is transitioning into a post-industrial era, and our policies need to recognize that. I still believe, though, that there are principles that are true across time and eras. But from my perspective, I'm talking about governmental policies adjusting to economic realities of the 21st century.
Senator, in the past, you've written about New Hampshire and how you thought it wasn't diverse enough to play such an important role in the picking and selecting of a president. Do you still feel that way?
That's actually not what I said. What I wrote was that I thought it was important. I thought it was good for our process that states like Iowa and New Hampshire that got to meet voters one-on-one played the role they played. And I thought after those states, in South Carolina, Florida should play a role because it was a large, diverse state that presented candidates with a bunch of different issues. And that's what I spoke about, and I continue to believe that. Obviously, Florida has moved its primary. The system has changed now. But my point then was that I thought that Florida should play a greater influence on the process. I never argued it should be in front of Iowa and New Hampshire. I think it's important for those states, for candidates to travel to those states and meet people in the way they have to when they come to places like New Hampshire.
Senator, is Jeb Bush yesterday?
Well, look, I always told people that it's not about biological age or how long someone's been in politics. It has to do more with the age of your ideas. Do you have ideas about how to move America into the 21st century? Jeb, if he announces for president, he's going to be a very strong candidate. I imagine he'll put forth a policy agenda that outlines his position on various issues, and then we can make that judgment, as voters will make that judgment.
Don't you know enough about him to know whether his policies are yesterday, today?
Well, bottom line, guys, is that he's not yet a declared candidate. When he is, I would expect that he's going to put out policies, and when he does, we'll make that judgment at the time, as voters will make it as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Senator.